But first, we got to get you updated on this. Joining us now, Israeli Special Operations veteran Aaron Cohen, former Pentagon official Brent Sadler. Gentlemen, thank you for joining us. How do you expect, first to you, Brent, how will Israel respond to Iran attacking it for the first time with more than 320 missiles and drones? This is the largest swarm attack in history. Is it going to attack Iran's oil fields, nuclear sites, missile factories? Brent, what would you tell it to do?
Well, and first and foremost, Israel and the United States cannot allow this massive and very coordinated attack from various vectors from Yemen to Syria, Iraq, and Lebanon to stand. It cannot be allowed to become some new normal that's somehow accepted behavior on the behalf of the mullahs in Tehran. So a response is needed, and it has to do a few things. It has to get attention of not just those in Tehran, but also those in other capitals that wish to do Israel and the United States' interest more broadly.
So what would it do? Aaron, so what do you think? Finish your thought there, Brent.
No, I think you're right. As far as the specific targets, you could go from the easy to the hard. Easy would be taking out the Iranians' spy vessel that's helping the Houthis attack shipping, which is a systematic and global attack on all of shipping. It's impacting everyone. To something more targeted, to going after the IRGC leadership more aggressively than Israel already has, because clearly that is getting Iran's attention, the mullahs' attention, and so press that harder and weaken their ability to support their proxies.
Aaron,
and then finally taking the attack to Iran proper.
Got it. Aaron, what would you tell them to do?
Well, Liz, I can tell you what I think they're doing. Israel's got a couple of very specialized capabilities. One is actionable intelligence. So they're going to be listening to thousands of phone calls. They're going to have thousands of analysts listening. They're going to continue to cut down the leadership of Iran. They said that sends a very strong psychological message, number one. And it completely diffuses the command structure of Iran and their capabilities. But the other one is going to be Israel's elite JTAC, or Joint Terminal Attack Unit, Sheldag, the Kingfisher unit. And that unit's going to be able to put missiles on the third hair in a barnyard anywhere in western Iran where those 300 missiles probably were launched from. So all of those missile batteries and all those Predator or all those suicide drones are going to get attacked. And I wouldn't be surprised if Israel starts putting boots right now quietly on the ground, commando-capable reconnaissance units to start getting additional listening devices in place. Listen, Iran made a mistake. Israel's not going to wait. Now's not the time for submissive. You know, the Middle East in Farsi and Arabic, which Biden doesn't speak, the Middle East does not respond to passive or submissiveness. They respond to strength, and Israel's about to wind it up. So
this story, Brent, why did the Biden White House, Reuters reported this is causing a furor. Reuters reporting that the Biden White House conveyed to Iran via Turkey that Iran's attack must be, quote, within certain limits. Brent, why is the Biden White House anywhere near talks with Iran on striking Israel?
It defies logic, and it certainly is not very much the behavior of an ally to be acting this way, and certainly greenlighting even some limited attack. This is the same type of logic that got us into a war in Ukraine, quite frankly. In the weeks leading up to it, you had the president say a little incursion or invasion is probably acceptable. And now we're 2+ years into the war in Ukraine, depleting our munitions and depleting our own treasure, trying to defeat Putin's invasion in Ukraine when clear articulation of forceful diplomacy and military presence probably would have prevented that war. And now it seems like same logic is at play.
You know, so
buy us
they're
another
playing
war
both
in the Middle
sides of
East.
it. Aaron, so what Brent is saying, they're playing both sides of it. I mean, and then you have the Biden officials that they're claiming victory. How can it take a victory lap when it was Israel's remarkable air defense systems that shot down 99% of those hundreds of cruise missiles and ballistic missiles? I mean, 7 got through. Israel did get help from the U.S., UK, Saudi Arabia, Jordan, and France. But how can the Biden White House, take a victory lap here?
Well, the Biden White House doesn't speak Farsi, Liz. You know, we have an expression at the old intelligence building in Glilot, Tel Aviv, which is behet das Rossi Dorim, which means we're going to get to every one of these leaders. And that's what Israel understands. We understand the culture, Liz. We understand the mindset. You want peace in the Middle East. You have to do it through strength. That's how you're going to get peace.
Yeah.
Biden doesn't get it. Blinken doesn't get it. But we get it in Israel. It's not our first dance, and we're going to have it. Stand by. We're going to get to work.
You know, this whole issue, Biden keeps saying the word don't to Iran, don't to Russia or China. Don't. But U.S. enemies ignore that, Brent. Show the track record here of Biden saying don't. It's not foreign policy. Then they deploy U.S. assets after the fact. NBC is quoting foreign policy pros that this Biden White House is failing miserably. Biden is sleepwalking the U.S. into another catastrophic war in the Middle East. We want to get to this sound, Brent. Let's get your reaction to Senators John Kennedy and Tom Cotton here. Watch this.
My advice to the president today, for what it's worth, Mr. President, don't. Stop it. Support Israel. With respect, go to Amazon and buy a spine online. Peace through weakness never works, not with these hard men.
But the kind of parade of horribles you just mentioned, Trey, I want to stress is happening because Joe Biden has projected weakness all around the world. Russia did not invade Ukraine on Donald Trump's watch. He did on Barack Obama and Joe Biden's watch. Iran would have never thought to shoot 300 missiles and drones at Israel when Donald Trump was president. Russia and Iran and China wouldn't have been mutually supporting each other in wars of unprovoked aggression the way they are now when Donald Trump was president.
Brent, what do you think? Is the U.S. safer under Biden?
Absolutely not. And I think that the evidence bears that out time and time again. And this notion that you can simply talk yourself out of a confrontation when another party is dead set on challenging you or attacking you, it's not going to work. Only peace comes through strength. And it's good to hear both senators echoing that same point, one in which I firmly think we are long past due exercising.
Aaron Cohen, Brent Sadler, sorry we ran out of time, gentlemen. It's good to have you both on. We appreciate you so much.